And today we're going to study Unit 2 of English 128. Unit 3. In this unit, the first rule that we will have is relative pronouns. First of all, we have to know each pronouns, and what each pronoun means, and we will put it in example sentences. The first relative pronoun is who. It refers to people, We relate the pronoun who to people. We do not say who for animals or objects, For example, the musician who wrote this song is French, So this is the first relative pronoun. The second one, whom. Whom we use it to relate to people if the people was the object of the sentence. For example, I know the boy whom sits next to you. Moving to the third relative pronoun is which. Which relates to animals and objects, We can use it for animals and objects. For example, this is the cake which Mary made, This is the bird which belongs to me. This is another example for animals. Moving to the next pronoun, why, we refers to reason, Do you know the reason why the market is closed today? So why, we use it for reason. Other one is when, of course, so obvious, refers to time. The day when the concert takes place is Saturday. The next one is where, refers to places. This is the house where my son was born, Where, for places. Whose. Whose refers to possession, What does it mean? It means what belongs to someone or something, So the boy whose phone just rang should stand up, So this thing, this phone belongs to someone, and the person who his phone rang should stand up. Moving to the last one, that relates to people, animals, and things. So we can replace, like in this, for example, number one, the musician who wrote this song is a French. We can replace who with that. The musician that wrote this song is a French, Again, for sentence number 3, this is the cake which Mary made. We can replace which with that. This is the cake that Mary made. So that we use it for people, animals, and objects. Moving to the next slide, this one. In this slide, we're going to explain the relative clauses. What relative clauses means? First of all, we have to remember the Arabic rule of relative pronouns and relative clauses, and it calls له أدوات الوصل والجمل الموصولة. So in Arabic, we have similar rules. We connect between sentences by using أداة وصل. In this case, we have the relative pronouns. So we're going to use the relative pronouns who or which or that or anyone in the previous slide to relate to a sentence, to become a relative clause. So this is the main idea of relative clauses. Moving to the next idea of it, that we have defining and non-defining relative clauses. What is the difference between them? First of all, you have to omit the idea that defining mean معرف, non-defining mean غير معرف, because it's not this case in this rule, What has been why we have said defining and non-defining? Because the purpose of the sentence or the message of the sentence, okay, بيكون يا من البداية it's clear or إنه شنو بيتأجل. We will put something in the middle to delay the meaning or the message of the sentence. And I will explain it more in this slide. So first of all, for defining, the message is direct. We will receive the message of the sentence direct. So we do not use commas, okay? And for defining, we use the necessary information or essential to distinguish which thing or person we are talking about. Okay, so the message of the sentence will receive direct because it's necessary to received. For example, I called my brother who lives in Ontario. Okay, I have more than one brother, and I called the one that lives in Ontario. This is the means of the sentence. Okay, يعني لما أقول I called my brother who lives in Ontario, okay, معناته إن أنا عندي كذا أخو. إنزين لما أقول اتصلت لأخوي اللي عايش في هاي البلد، أني حددت أي بلد لأنه مهم. ممكن يكون عندي أخو ثاني عايش في بلد ثاني، فلما أحدد in specific معناته إن أنا شنو خصصت one brother. This is necessary information. Who lives on Ontario, it is a necessary information. For defining relative clauses, we can use that. مو إحنا قلنا we can replace that with who and which. We can use it for defining sentences. Okay. So that is the mug which or that I bought in Paris. I didn't know the man who or that was there. We can use the relative pronoun that instead of who and which. Okay. What is the relative pronouns that we can omit in defining relative clauses? We can omit who, which, or that when they are followed by subject plus a verb. شلون? We can say, do you like the song I wrote? Okay. See, do you like the song is the sentence number 1. I wrote is the sentence number 2. Okay. We can omit which or that because what comes after the sentence number 1 is a subject plus a verb. Okay. For second example, that is the man I like. We can omit who or that. Okay, and just we say that's the man I like. So this is the case for defining relative clauses. Again, for defining, we use necessary information, and we have to be clear by giving the essential information about what the sentence is talking about or who. Okay, we can use that instead of which or who, and we can omit that who or which if it was if the sentence is followed by subject plus a verb. Moving to the second type of relative clauses, which is non-defining. Okay, non-defining means the message of the sentence will be delayed. Okay, معناته إني بأخر. I will give extra information in the middle. Then I'm going to say what is the sentence purpose. What I want to for the listener or audience to hear or listen. Okay, so it's extra information, not necessary to distinguish which thing or person we are talking about. Like when I say my brother, comma, who lives on Ontario, comma, is older. Is older. يعني في هاي الحالة what I want to say is my brother is older. And what's become between the two commas, okay, it's extra information. We can delete it from the sentence and the meaning of the sentence will not change, okay? So in this case, I have only one brother and I'm just mentioning that he lives in Ontario, okay? Just extra information, just I'm saying blah, 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 okay? For non-defining, we cannot use that instead of who or which. Like, for example, these bikes, which cost a fortune, are made in Japan. I cannot say these bikes that cost a fortune. For non-defining, while giving extra information, we do not use that instead of who or which. Moving to the last point in non-defining, that relative pronouns cannot be omitted in non-defining clauses. We cannot omit anything. Okay? So, for example, they introduced me to John, who I liked immediately. I cannot say they introduced me to John I liked immediately. It will be completely wrong. So, we have taken the relative pronouns. Each pronoun refers to what? Who person? Whom? Person if the person was the object of the sentence. Which for animals or objects. Why reason, when time, etc. etc. Moving to the defining and non-defining relative clauses that we're going to use the relative pronouns to connect two sentences together to become a relative clause. So here are more examples for defining relative clauses. Okay, so in this sentence, the man was from Scotland. Okay, we do not know which man is being talked about. We need a clause telling us more about the subject. Okay, we need more necessary information, not extra, more necessary information. Okay, so the man who sold me my car was from Scotland. Okay, this sentence is clear, and we cannot omit anything in this sentence because if we delete any word, the meaning of the sentence will be lost. Okay, so we need this clause to tell us which man we mean. It has no commas. It is a defining relative clause, and in this example, we can use that instead of who. We can say the man that told me my car was from Scotland. Okay. Moving to this slide, defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay. Specifically, non-defining. So in this sentence, London is an interesting place to live. Okay, we understand the subject. We know which London we are talking about, so the sentence makes sense. We could, but don't need to, add more information. For example, when I say London, comma, which has a population of around 7 million, comma, is an interesting place to live. So if I say directly London is an interesting place to live, the meaning is there. I can understand this sentence. But if I say London, which has a population of around 7 million, then is an interesting place to live, the meaning, the purpose of the sentence has delayed. تأخر الهدف الجملة. أنا قلت كلام زيادة أوكي، نفس اللي أبغى أعطي شوية زيادة، أخر الهدف مال الجملة بس أخليها طويلة، بعدين أقول شنو فيها لندن، شنو عن لندن. أوكي، هاي non-defining، إنني أأخر المعنى، أأخر الهدف أو رسالة الجملة. So because the information relative clause isn't necessary to understand the subject, we use commas to show it can be removed. It is a non-defining relative clause. You cannot use that instead of which. يعني ما أقدر أقول London, London that has a population of around 7 million is an interesting place to live. You cannot say that. It must be which. Moving to this rule from your part. Okay, starting with here relative pronouns, and we use it, the use of relative pronouns who for people, which for things, groups of people, where for places, who is for positions, belonging to people and things. That can be replaced any pronoun except whose in defining relative clauses. And we use a relative pronouns after some of, all of, a few of, none of. Okay, هاي استخدامات أو positions أكثر حق relative pronouns. For example, she has 4 sisters, none of whom, okay, are married. We can use none of, some of, all of, a few of before relative pronouns. It is acceptable. Moving to this one, then I will move to the fixed prepositional phrases and relative clauses. For defining relative clauses and non-defining. For defining relative clauses gives essential information about a noun. Okay, نحن نعطي معلومات مهمة عن الnoun. So for this example, my uncle who lives in New York is coming to Oxford, and sentence number 2, my uncle who lives in New York is coming to Oxford. What is the difference between two sentences? Okay, first of all, we can use only one comma. The extra information doesn't have to be in the middle between two commas. It can be one comma. Okay, the second thing, okay, and the most important one, if the sentence contains a comma or commas, means that we are giving extra information about someone who is already defined. Okay, we already know that this is the one. Okay, so it's okay to give extra information about it. But if we do not use commas, it means that each word in the sentence is essential to mention the exact person among others. Okay, يعني مثلا لما أقول my brother who lived in مثلا لندن. okay, لما أقول who lived in London، هاي الكلمة تخصه بين مثلا أخواني الباقين. مثل ما قلت ممكن عندي أخوه في نيويورك، another place. okay, why I have said that who lived in London, because it's essential to mention the exact brother بهالطريقة. okay, so in sentence 1, who lives in New York is a non-defining relative clause. okay, it gives extra non-essential information about the uncle. In sentence 2, it is defining relative clause. The speaker has more than one uncle, so he or she identifies which uncle he or she is talking about. So in defining relative clauses, we can omit the relative pronouns if it is the object of the verb. As I have said, I can omit it if it is followed by a subject and a verb. I have eaten the cake I made yesterday, and I can say which I made yesterday. The question is, can I use that instead of which? The answer is yes, because it's a defining relative clauses. Okay? For non-defining relative clauses, it gives extra information about a noun. Use a comma before and after the relative clause. Like this example, that project which I started years ago still isn't finished. المعنى اللي أنا أبغى أقوله, the project still isn't finished, but I give extra information. The question is, can I use that instead of which? In this case, the answer is no, because it's a non-defining relative clause. Over here, the fixed prepositional phrases and relative clauses. There are a number of fixed phrases which use a preposition in a non-defining relative clauses. Okay, in non-defining. For example, the company ran out of money at which point, okay, see, a relative pronoun, okay, relative pronoun, but it comes with some words to become a fixed prepositional phrase. So, at which point I quit my job. So, the company ran out of money, at which point I quit my job. هاي كلها, it comes together, at which point. The second one, he may work late, in which case I will get home first. The third one, we watched the final, the result of which was never in doubt. Okay, I watched the final, the result of which was never in doubt. فعندنا 3 صيغ, 3 fixed prepositional. At which point يعني في هاي عند هاي النقطة احنا يعني مو ترجمتها حرفية، بس معناته لما وصلت ran out of money I quit my. In which case معناته في هاي الحالة I will get home first. The result of which النتيجة لهذا الشيء was never in doubt. Moving in formal sentences, the prepositions stays with the verb. Okay, informal. Okay, معناته سياق الحديث أو مع الفريندز، معناته العامي. شنو قلنا؟ preposition stays with the verb. But in formal sentences, we put the preposition before the relative pronouns. Compare. He completed the book which he had been working on. Which he had been working on. This is the informal. For the formal, he completed the book on which he had been working. Okay, يعني الفرق في وين؟ preposition. Working on في الانفورمال نخلي البريبوزيشن after عقب. Okay, after the verb. لكن الفورمال نحطها في بداية السنتنس الثانية. On which he had been working. انزين. الحين remember شلون تصير؟ يمكن بعضكم يتلخبط فيها. احنا عندنا جملتين. He completed the book. هاي sentence number 1. He had been working on high sentence number 2. I joined them by the relative pronoun which. In this case, the verb, what comes after it is a preposition. So we put it in his place for the informal. But formal sentences, we put the preposition before the second sentence using the relative pronoun to become relative clause. He completed the book on which. We put on, then moving to the relative pronoun which, then we put the second sentence. Okay, so I have completed this rule contained of relative pronoun and relative clauses. Moving to this quiz. We join each pair of sentences with a relative clause. Here are examples. Last night we met a man. He is a millionaire, okay? We have two sentences and we want to join them together. So we're going to use the relative pronouns that suit the sentence. So we are talking about last night we met a man. The second sentence, he is a millionaire, okay? He refers to the man. Man is a person. So the relative pronoun that we used for persons is who, or that if the sentence is what? A defining relative clause. In this case, last night we met a man who is a millionaire. Okay. Focus. If we put the relative pronoun, we omit the thing that refers to the relative pronoun. يعني شنو؟ الحين شنو الدليل اللي خلانا احنا نستخدم هو؟ كلمة he. He موجودة refers to the man. معناته أنا بستخدم هو. الدليل أشيله في relative clause. أوكي؟ أحط بداله بس relative pronoun اللي هي كلمة Last night we met a man who is a millionaire or that is a millionaire. زين. شلون أتأكد إن هي defining relative clause؟ إذا أنا مثلا مسحت كلمة منها فهمت الجملة معناته المفترض تصير non-defining. إذا ما فهمتها فالإجابة صح فهي defining relative clause. Moving to sentence B. Yesterday we found a wallet. It was empty. Wallet is a thing. It refers to things or animals. So we're going to use which or that if the sentence is a defining relative clause. So yesterday we found a wallet which was empty or that was empty because the sentence is a defining relative clause. Again, we omit it. And we put what? Which or that. Moving to sentence C. Michelangelo was a famous artist. He painted the Sistine Chapel, okay? Here we have two sentences. I'm going to relate these sentences with relative pronoun. And what relative pronoun that we're going to use is who, because he refers to this man. Okay, so which type of relative clause? Is it defining or non-defining? In this case, we're going to use non-defining because each sentence has a clear message and we understand, okay, the sentence. Okay, we don't have to add something in each sentence to become clear. So, how to form relative clause, a non-defining relative clause? We're going to say Michelangelo, okay, comma, who painted the Sistine Chapel, comma, was a famous artist. This is the way how you answer this question. Again, we omit he. The question is, can we use that instead of who? The answer is no, because again, it's a non-defining relative clauses. Okay, we're going to stop here. You can answer sentence D and E and send me the answers in the group. That's it for today. Hope it was a clear lesson and it's very easy to understand. See you inshallah next lesson. Bye.